All right, thanks for joining us. So we all love soccer here in the Valley, and I'm thinking right now, what better way to kick this show off than talking about a little VMS boys soccer? The Gore Rangers have been on a roll lately as they've won their last 4 games straight, which started with a win at home over Roaring Fork, and most recently they played Gunnison where they picked up a 4-1 victory. Many of the schools they played in this stretch have been high-caliber opponents such as 3A school Crested Butte and 4A Summit High. We talked with head coach Kevin Ives and his team last week, and they're excited with how their team is competing.
We continually talk about getting off to quick starts. The boys have done a tremendous job there, not falling behind early. We jumped out on Summit 2-0, but again, they're a really quality 4A team, so we know they're going to come back punching. There definitely were a couple things defensively, I think, as a unit we can continue to clean up. And it's not just the back line defensively, it's how all 11 guys defend together. So that's something we're going to continue to work on, but just really pleased with how the team's playing, staying collectively together. And yeah, it was just a great team win top to bottom.
And Drew, with that free kick today, caught everyone, with a huge awe. Like, it was such a beauty. Any thoughts on that you can contribute?
I see him hit those every single day in practice, so it's not a surprise to me. He's a super talented kid, and I was just telling him on our walk over here, he's just getting better every single day. He's kind of our glue guy right now at the moment. Whatever we need him to do, he steps up. He plays huge roles defensively. When we need a little bit of spark offensively, he provides that for us as well, too. And he's just a great sound leader for us.
Okay, and down a couple voices on the field today. You've been missing Jack Schwartz for 2 games now. Any update you can give us on his status?
Yeah, it's just something that he's working through day by day. Unfortunately, it's kind of been a lingering issue or injury for him over the last couple months. Once we got on kind of like the right side of the winning streak, we just kind of wanted to keep developing some of our younger players, continue to give some of our players some opportunities to see what they have. We've just been fortunate enough to have some quality results that allow us to rest Jack. We're hoping he's around for Friday when we go down to Crested Butte. But again, we're just taking it day by day and seeing what the trainer's feedback is.
And Jack has such a big impact on the field. In what ways do you kind of miss him? I know you have that next man up mentality, but in what ways do you kind of miss him out there on the field?
Yeah, I would say Jack's like our original glue guy. He hides so many of our deficits as a team. Same thing, he really steps up defensively, kind of clouds up the midfield for the opposing team. And then when we need him offensively, he provides, a great spark for us. And that's kind of what I was alluding to, Drew stepping into that role and kind of filling that in for Jack in his absence.
Okay, and you just played a Class 3A team today, a little higher than Class 2A, which y'all are used to. In what ways is it tougher matching up with an opponent like that has more depth to choose from when they're pulling their team together?
Yeah, they're 4A, but yeah, no, it's all good.
Learning something new
today. Yeah. It's always tough. It's always a challenge. They're definitely a rivalry game for us, just being with the close proximity. But our boys relish in that challenge. We're a school of 130, 140 kids in our high school. 4A schools typically have about 1,600. So we're definitely punching a lot higher than our weight class. But just proud of the boys. They step up to the challenge. They're ready for it. And I think that's just the road we have to take if we want to be, standing come November.
Okay. And your team speaks for itself, the record, the talent, etc. What do you tell to maybe a fan of another team that thinks you guys are not legit?
I would just say, schedule us or come watch us play. We're small, but we got a lot of talent. We have a lot of depth. And like you said, we've had injuries, we've had illnesses, as does every team at this point. But it's just, our boys are hungry. They want to step up. We have a great group that's really close together. They fight for each other. They work for each other. And that's, as a coach, that's all I can ask for.
Drew, what are your just kind of final thoughts here after that matchup with Class 4A opponent Summit?
We just played a great game with our team, great team ball, and it's just having trust with our teammates that leads us to our success.
Okay, and kind of walk me through that goal. You line up for that PK, what's going through your head, and then as soon as you kick it, ball goes to the back of the net. What are your thoughts? What are your emotions? Give me everything.
Again, it first starts off with the trust of my teammates, of me, that gives me that confidence to take that shot. And it's really just picking a spot on the ball, picking a spot in the goal, and then just visualizing what you want to happen, and then just letting it rip, kind of hope for the best.
Okay, do you kind of just get there, black out, let it rip, and then,
exactly.
If it's in, you're throwing your arms up in the air celebrating?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, well, talk to me about the confidence. You said confidence from your teammates. Building you up is huge. What do they kind of say to you before you kind of take your spot there and let it rip?
All they're saying is, yeah, this is all you. you got this, man. You've been doing this all practice. That's really all it is. You got this.
Okay, and this game was kind of a dogfight. You guys held that 2-point margin, went up 5-3 final. But what's the most difficult part about playing a Class 4A team? They're such a bigger school. They got more depth. What do you think the most challenging part is there?
I mean, with those bigger schools, it gets a lot chippier and a lot more physical. They got bigger guys, sometimes faster guys, but it's really our chemistry from our team that holds us together. I mean, every day in school, we see like each and every one of our teammates, and we talk. We're all friends, which I think may lack in those bigger schools. And we're just a really close team. Everybody likes everybody, and that kind of leads to our chemistry.
So the camaraderie is just in school, on the practice field, and in games. It's always there.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you tell to, maybe a fan or a player from another team that says y'all aren't legit, you get bailed out by the refs, the full 9 with all the excuses? What do you tell them to convince them that you're legit, you have the talent, our record shows we're that team to beat?
I mean, just look at our results and what we've been putting up against these big schools, and just come watch us play, I guess, and then we'll show you what we're really all about.
Okay, and kind of dissecting this, win over Summit High, 5-3 final score. What did you really like from your team on both sides of the ball, attacking the goal and maybe defending the goal?
It really starts with communication all the way, starting from the goalie, working all the way up to the strikers and even on the bench. It's just that talking and communication that leads us to be strong in our formation, that leads us to play better soccer.
And you've got a great goalie down there in Hunter. He's tall, he's got the physical for him, but he seems like a great communicator too. Is he just always in your ear wherever you are on the field?
He's always talking. You can always hear him. All the feedback that he gives is perfect. It's a really good way of knowing if you're doing it well or if you're doing it wrong. And he really does that very nicely, which is great to have.
Okay, and Crested Butte coming up Friday, they're a high caliber opponent. What are you going to be focused on when you take the field over there in Crested Butte before playing them?
It's really just starting out hot, coming out strong. If we come out on our heels, then it's kind of hard to get back in the game, So games where we start off hot, it's really hard for the other team to kind of get a grip of it. So yeah, just coming out hot and working with our team well.
Okay, and what do you kind of like about matching up with a Class 2A opponent, a higher caliber one, especially in Crested Butte?
I mean, it really depends, but a team like Crested Butte, really good team. They've always kind of been good. We've had a lot of good matchups with them in the past, especially in the playoffs of last season. Bit of a shootout there, really exciting game. So I think it's just kind of focusing on just like playing with our teams and not worrying about them.
Okay, and you got the better of Crested Butte last year in the playoffs. Do you think they're going to be remembering that when you take the field this Friday?
100%. That's all they're going to be thinking about, and that's all we're going to be thinking about as well. So it's going to get chippy. It's going to be a fun game.
All right, Drew, anything you want to add?
No, just we're a good team, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Vail Mountain School with that 5-3 win over Summit High. Joining me right now, Rutley Heineman. Rutley, what'd you like from today's game against Summit High?
Kind of keeping our emotions under control. They were talking the whole game, and we stayed composed, and we got the win. And yeah, it was just a great all-around game from the team.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise. I was sitting sideline right there, heard some comments, maybe some not so polite things, but how do you keep all that noise out of your head when you're in game mode like that?
Kind of just go back to basics, play how we play. Kind of just, just try to keep it out of your heads. Just stay composed during the whole entire game, and we did that, and I think that's the main reason how we got the win.
Okay, and getting off the field, what do you tell to like a player or maybe a fan from the other team that says you guys are not legit, like you get bailed out by the refs, dumps the whole body of excuses on you? What do you say to tell them, look at our record, we're legit?
Yeah, just look at our record. I mean, last year, obviously, no fluke. We're here this year to come back and go back to back. It's not a fluke. We'll be back.
Okay, in 5-3, there were some times in this game where, Summit was climbing back in there. How did you guys just stay focused and keep adding goals to the game?
I think we, as a team, kind of just kept moving together. We stayed together as a team as we moved throughout the whole entire field. We stayed really composed on defense, and we kind of just passed the ball around and got the win.
Okay, and you know Summit, they're a 4A school. Y'all are 2A. What's the most difficult part about playing, you know, a schooler in a higher division with more bodies at their school?
I just think before the game going into it, they kind of just write us off. So we have to prove every single game against the bigger school that we are a legit, very good team, and we're here to stay and we're here to win.
Okay, and how sweet is it when you knock off a school with more depth on their program and roster?
It's really nice. It kind of shows just how good our team is for just a small school, and just how far we can go as a team, hopefully throughout the playoffs and the season.
Okay, and Drew, I had him over here a minute ago. He was telling me, one thing about bigger schools are, the camaraderie's not there on the soccer field that it may be in a smaller school like VMS, in the classroom, on the field at practice, or just in a game. They have less opportunities for that as there's more kids walking around that high school. What do you have to say kind of in relation to that? Do you feel like, the same way the camaraderie is just there in the classroom, it's on the field, and it's in the middle of a game?
Yeah, I think we're all just a very tight-knit group, just as a team. And you could hear on the field, they were arguing between themselves. So that's just stuff that we don't do. We trust each other, and we are one team, and nobody's bigger than the team, and we're here to win as a team. So. Yeah.
Okay. And you got Crested Butte on the schedule. They're a high-caliber 2A opponent. What do you guys need to be thinking about ahead of that matchup?
I think going in with confidence, kind of just like this game, they are 3A school. They are very strong as well. We played them in playoffs last year. We had to come from behind multiple times, so they're definitely a strong team. So we're gonna have to play some good soccer.
Okay, and I got to bring up last year too. Y'all fell behind in that game in the postseason, then you kind of brought your team back in it. Do you think they're going to be looking at you with the sour taste in their mouth come Friday?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Rutley. Anything you want to add today?
No, that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Taking a look now at Vail Mountain School's last 3 games, they would get that win over Crested Butte 1-0 on the road, so that one has to feel pretty good for the Gore Rangers. And their next game is Thursday against Coleridge on the road. Hitting the diamond now real quick, Battle Mountain Softball took on Basalt and knocked off the Longhorns 36-31, which has got to be one of the highest scoring games ever played on the softball field. But nevertheless, Battle Mountain improves to 3-7 while Basalt falls to 4-12. Back-to-back tough opponents in the Pac-12 for CU football as they went to work against the Heisman winner, Caleb Williams, and the 8th-ranked USC Trojans football team. Down 21-0 in the second quarter, Shadur Sanders locks onto Jimmy Horn, lets it fly, and they'll connect in the end zone for 30 yards to get the Buffs on the board. After the touchdown, Caleb Williams and the Trojans looking to answer on this drive, but he won't see Omarion Cooper, who delivers the smoke to give USC a 3rd and long, which would eventually force a punt. Nevertheless, the Trojans will continue to roll, down 34-7, with the game starting to spiral out of control for the Buffs. Sanders will take off for the end zone, traveling 25 yards to the crib to give his team a spark before the half. Moving over to the second half, now down 41-14, Sanders connects with the freshman Omarion Miller, who turns on the Jets and goes 75 yards to the USC 10-yard line. A penalty will set the Buffs up at the 2-yard line, and on second down, Anthony Hankerson will punch it in. Buffs down 21-41 and begin creeping back into the game. Now down 34-48. Sanders threads this one through a tight window to Jimmy Horn Jr. for the 16-yard touchdown, and the Buffs will bring it within 7. They try the onside kick, but don't get it, and the Trojans escape Boulder unscathed. The second half fight from the Buffs showed resilience, but does the team believe in moral victories?
Say it again?
Do you believe in moral victories? Do you think this was a moral victory?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, then let's move on from there.
Coach Prime was later asked the same question, where sure enough, he answered saying he doesn't believe in moral victories either.
The team I imagine I would play 4 solid quarters and be really physical and really tough and definitive and just make our mark and leave an impression on not only the opposing team, but the coaching staff as well as our fan base. That's what we want to do.
Prime not too happy with the outcome, but still proud of his team, he would later go on to say. After that hard-fought battle in the second half with number 8 Southern California, the Trojans will actually drop back a spot. They were a 22-point favorite in this game, but didn't fulfill the order. The Buffs still receiving 1 vote to get back in the top 25, and they'll have a matchup with Arizona State this weekend, who hasn't won a game since week 1. The Buffs, I would say, have a pretty good chance in Phoenix with this matchup. Air Force also listed, receiving 7 votes to break the top 25. They've been lingering there and are sitting at 5-0 on the year with 3 conference wins. They'll rest up this week as they're on a bye. CU, on the other hand, will have to shift gears after that loss to USC last weekend to take on Arizona State, and if the Buffs have their game face on like they did in the second half against USC this past weekend, I expect more than a moral victory, which we all know isn't good enough for the Buffs and Coach Prime. That game will come at 4:30 on Saturday. The counterpart of the Rocky Mountain Showdown, the CSU Rams, will take on a conference opponent of their own in Utah as they travel to Logan for a matchup with Utah State. That one is slated for 6 p.m. on Saturday. Not much of a mix-up from last week's poll here in our AFCA coaches poll for Week 6. Colorado School of Mines is still sitting at that number 2 spot and will face Mesa this weekend in Grand Junction. And moving up 2 spots from last week with a colossal win over Mesa is Western Colorado. They'll travel to Rapid City, South Dakota to take on School of Mines. Kickoffs for those games will both come Saturday, and Mines will take on Mesa at 1:05 p.m. in Grand Junction, while Western Colorado takes on South Dakota Mines at noon. Now, nothing has come easy this season for the Denver Broncos. There was a lot of hope around this program at the beginning of the year, and then that hope just kind of quickly dissolved when the Broncos started off the season 0-3. But what would happen if the 0-3 Broncos matched up with another 0-3 team in the NFL? Well, we found out this weekend when they traveled to Chicago to take on the Bears. Just a quick little recap here. Broncos score first on a touchdown catch from Jaleel McLaughlin, but the Bears from there would open up an offensive clinic in the second quarter as they put up 21 straight. Nevertheless, down 14 in the fourth quarter, the Broncos would find a way to come back and win as they put up 17 to seal the deal in Chicago. They improved to 1-3 on the season, giving Sean Payton his first win as head coach of the team. So it's been almost 4 months since the Denver Nuggets won their first NBA Finals championship as an organization. The win coming at Ball Arena in Denver had to make it all the more sweet, but now they turn their attention to a new season and what's to come in the future after a championship. Nuggets Vice President Josh Kroenke made it clear one championship isn't good enough at Nuggets Media Day on Monday.
To be sitting up here for the first time in our franchise's history as defending champions is a real honor. The cool part about our summer was, on the back of that accomplishment was sitting back down with Calvin, Coach Malone, and the rest of the group to try to plan out the next few years to try to figure out another way to win again, and win multiple. So that's a new challenge we're embracing. It was a fun summer. It was a fast summer, but to be sitting up here as defending champions for the first time is just a tremendous honor.
But what's a media day without your 2-star players? Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray took the podium Monday, and they know what this season will be like before they take the court in their first game.
We got a target on our back. A lot of teams are going to do everything they can, grab everybody in the organization, everybody in the league on one team to try to beat us. So we just got to keep focused and stay the course.
The Nuggets season starts October 24th at home, where they'll take on the Los Angeles Lakers and have their banner ceremony from last year's accomplishments. Kind of funny how the Nuggets get to show off their championship banner against LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Los Angeles Lakers, who the Nuggets swept in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe this is going to make LeBron and Anthony Davis and the rest of that Lakers team hungry when they take the court to start off that 2023-2024 NBA calendar season. So we'll see come the end of the month. But make sure to continue coming back to us for all the latest sports coverage around the Valley and beyond. We'll see you next time.